I know Kentucky, I think, has played without three bigs so far. Do you prepare differently, or how do you handle that going into a game like this?
Well, I don't know how many they have out. I know they have at least two, and the big international kid is the third, if I'm not mistaken. So, what's your question, Shay? We're preparing like the teams, like the first two games that they played with the personnel. So, if Bradshaw or one of their big guys comes back, I don't think that would be as now. Personnel would be hard to prepare for, but matchups wouldn't be as hard to prepare for because at least it'd be big on big. So preparing to play with Trey Mitchell at the 5 is different than preparing to play one of those guys at the 5 because he's so skilled on the perimeter.
And just in watching them, what stands out, and any, I don't know, not concerns, but anything that you circle and?
Yeah, I think they can score. Individually really score, whether it be Dillingham, obviously, or Wagner, or Edwards, or Mitchell, or Shepard, or whoever. I mean, those guys can score the ball individually, and they're good forcing help and getting downhill individually. So I'd say athleticism, fast, hard to keep in front, good in transition. I think that I shouldn't speak to anybody else's teams, but when they get their bigs back, this is going to be a hard team to deal with. And right now they're hard to deal with, in my opinion, because of the matchup. If you can't take advantage of them playing small, and they can take advantage of you playing small, then that'll probably be, a lot to do with how the game goes tomorrow.
I'm not talking overall experience, just specific Champions Classic experience. Does that matter in this game? Year to year even, not just this year, but year to year, that you've got guys that have played in that game, and obviously you don't have a ton, but you got a few.
We've got, what, 3? Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think so. We look at so many things that are bigger to what you guys sometimes think, because you got to get an angle on a story, than what we actually ever even think about.
Sure.
So it'll be a very nervous time for our guys. Is it because of Champions, or is it because first big game, playing Kentucky, all that stuff? I think that all adds to it. I think we've actually done fairly well with it in the past. The one that stands out to me is when Devon and Quentin dominated as a freshman up there,
right.
Michigan State, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
But there's also been some time, we've had more success in Champions in recent years. We didn't have that much success early on. So, but there's been some times where we took some young guys up there and got beat 40 one time too. And the thing about it is, this is 2 or 3 seasons away from March. So people can get so hung up on this. I mean, Kentucky hammered us in the Garden with Anthony Davis and all those guys, and then we turn around and play them for the national championship 3 months later. So I think if anything, this is be a great measuring tool for everybody playing, and it will certainly be a barometer on kind of where we're at now and what we need to get better at. But as far as impacting the season, I don't see it doing that.
Bill, just kind of looking at Edwards, what have you kind of seen on tape? I know he's been pretty highly touted coming into.
Pretty highly touted, yeah. He's terrific. Yeah, he's terrific. Left-handed, can score beyond the arc. He puts it down. He's a good offensive rebounder. He's an athlete, great back cutter. He's terrific. That class is terrific. The one that, to me, that people talk about him, don't get me wrong. They talk about him because he's really good, but can score the ball so naturally is Dillingham. But you know, Wagner and Edwards and Dillingham, when they get Bradshaw back, who may be as touted as anyone, and Shepard, and I'm probably leaving somebody out off the top of my head, but that's about as, I mean, that's up there with some of Kentucky's best recruiting classes.
I know in the last week, you guys signed a few kids for the 24 class. Just how do you feel about the state of that class right now?
Man, you know, to me, recruiting rankings are so overhyped and overrated. The bottom line is, can that person come to your school and fit in and make you better? And I think that we've done a really nice job and got 3 guys. Like LeBaron, I think could be as good as any guard in the country. He's not rated that. I think Rakis is a prototypical 2-3 that can guard anybody. I think he'd come in with Travis Relaford, a defensive skill the first day on campus and still be a much better scorer. I mean, I believe this the way that we play. I think Flory is as good a lob catcher as there is, and the way we run ball screens and run to the rim. So I think it fits us great. Will it be the most highly touted class in America? No, because the rankings don't say that. But I think this class can impact our team arguably about as much as anybody. You know, you know, anybody that gets Cooper Flagg, you would put them number 1, and deservedly so. But I think it's a really good class, but we got to add to it. I mean, we can't be done.
You mentioned, I think Travis or Rakis. Does Flory or the other remind you of anyone that you've played, or sorry, coached?
Athletically, I don't know that we've had anybody like him athletically. I mean, he moves like Darrell Arthur, but he's bigger. You know, he's not as skilled as Shady, but he moves like that. But as far as running and jumping, I think he may be up there in a class by himself from what we've recruited in that position.
Based on what you saw in the games last week, just what are your main points of emphasis been on defense heading into Tuesday?
Well, you know, we practiced once since we played. We practiced yesterday, so you know, we got to keep the ball in front of us. We got to rebound. I would say those would probably be the 2 biggest things.
Bill, after Kentucky's win over Commerce, Coach Cal was talking about how they got beat off the bounce and wasn't happy with that. Just what are the coaching techniques that go into not getting beat off the bounce, and are guys that do a good job with that, or people you've had in the past?
I actually think that all young kids struggle with it, because the more athletic you are, it seems like it should be so much easier to keep a guy in front of you. But the more athletic and aggressive you play, the more you crowd a good player, and a good player can get his shoulders past you regardless of how athletic you are if you're unsound. And unsound with us could be wrong foot up. You know, we have guys a lot of times that's doing a great job defensively, and the more they do a great job, they'll go out and crowd them even tighter, and then a guy can spin off of them and force help. Whereas if you got him under control, just keep him there and keep him under control. I think those things are correctable, and I'm sure Cal feels the same way about his guys. I'm sure he thinks those are correctable, but I think with young players, because we're struggling with it too, I think that's pretty much a common theme with young guys, as far as not understanding that when you're guarding somebody and you can keep him in front of you, the tendency is to reach and gamble and want to steal or deflect. If you can just keep him in front of you, you have automatically kept your team from having to rotate and rotation rebound and putting bigs in foul jeopardy and all these things. Whereas I don't know that young kids totally understand that, because they just want to go out and just take your ball or do something like that. And to me, we have two guys that are capable of stealing the ball off of a used dribble, and that would be Juan and Kevin. But even they gamble too much whenever it's late in the shot clock and things like that. So, you know, just keeping a guy in front of you and pressuring him enough to make him feel you, pretty good remedy for success because you don't have to force help. Because when you force help, that's when all defensive breakdowns start occurring.
You mentioned at times guys can feel nerves before this game for the guys like Johnny, Marco, Nick who are playing at this type of stage for the first
and
time.
Jamari too.
And
Yeah.
Jamari, like, what do you look for in this game to make you feel more comfortable looking at like Maui or other games coming up?
You know what? They need to obviously, you know, they're learning how to swim by jumping in the deep end, and that's fine. You know, you know, they don't have floaties on anymore. So I just think this just to see, you know, different guys react different ways. Like I said earlier about Devon and Quentin, we had no idea how they would react going into this. I think they get like 24-19 in this game, if I'm not mistaken. So you know, who knows how they'll react. Some guys just rise to the occasions. You know, I'll be honest with you, I was nervous about how they react against North Carolina Central and Manhattan. So naturally, I'll be you know, anxious to see how they react in this environment.
How's the health of the team, Kevin and Furphy and everybody?
I think pretty good. You know, we all practiced yesterday, and I anticipate everybody practicing today. So, you know, I don't think that's an issue as of you know, pre-practice. So
At the football game Saturday, did you get to visit with Mahomes?
I actually didn't go to the game.
Oh.
We had a lot of people at the game, a lot of people in the suite, but I didn't go. I thought it was better to study Kentucky. So no, I didn't see anybody that day except my staff around the conference table.
Coach, real quick, excuse me, you know, the players, right, you know, they know they're gonna play some great competition, obviously going up against Coach Calipari. For you, how fun is it just to go up against some of the best coaches in the country as well?
Well, I think we always enjoy playing these games. I think, you know, players want to play against the best competition, and, you know, coaches want to go against the best competition. And, you know, when you're playing certain programs, you get both. And obviously with Kentucky, you know, you get both every time you play them. So, yeah, I enjoy it. It's not an individual deal where it's a coach or a player against a player or a coach against a coach. That's not how it works. It's a program against a program, and so yeah, that may be part of the, you know, the what people think that creates interest, but the bottom line is how do our five guys guard their